BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to another presentation of your Kundalini Awakening conversation. Today, it's a beautiful Wednesday here in California, Northern California, Santa Rosa, and we have two special guests today. We have Brooke Robertson from Tennessee, and we have Rosemary Goliath, as you all know, from Minnesota. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Brooke Robertson is from Pennsylvania, not Tennessee. No offense to anybody in Tennessee. Now, before we get started, because we had such a dismal experience last time because of the sound quality, I'm going to ask Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez or Manisha, or if I can be heard, if this is coming through. And so, if you could please Elizabeth says it sounds great. Okay, all right. So hopefully this will last. And in that, yes, there's Manisha. Okay, excellent. Good. Okay, well, I'm here at home at the ashram. I'm on the big, humongous, gosh, I don't know how big this is. It's a big laptop. And looking at the screen here. And so things seem to be going well thus far. BlogTalk does have its little idiosyncratic, as does that little iPad that I have now. I think I have to take it to the Apple Store. Anyway, so I'm going to bring on the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts, Her Holiness Santara. Here we are, Santara. Hello.
Hi, Chrism. Hello, Brooke. Hello, Rosemary. Hello, Manisha. And who else is there? Elizabeth. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. And, Chrism, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, or at least it was here too in Ireland. We're having fantastic weather, a little mini heat wave. So it's good to be here. And I will begin, as always, by letting people know where they can go to if they would like to make a donation to assist with the work that is being done for people who are experiencing a Kundalini awakening process. So you can go to www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and in the upper right-hand corner you will find a donate button. And we always say to people there's no pressure on anybody to donate, but this is the means by which the work is able to continue, and so all donations are greatly received. Bills have to be paid, internet services provided, all of that, and this requires money. So indeed, if you are in a position to assist in this way, and if you want to, it would be greatly and graciously appreciated. So again, that's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. Thank you, Chris. I'm looking forward to the show.
Thank you.
Sounded good, I think.
Sounds good. You're coming through very nicely. Okay, and then I would like to welcome Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez to the program. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, Chrism. Hi, everybody. Hi, Rosemary, Brooke, and Amelia, and everybody. I'm good.
Well, do you have any specific announcements?
I do indeed. I'd like to announce the next seminar in Shaktipat, Kundalini at the Castle, Saturday, May 9th and Sunday, May 10th, 9 to 6 p.m. both days. It's $297 for the whole weekend. So if you have any questions or you want to register, call Elizabeth, area code 360-732-7076, or you can email me at Dalton Gonzalez, DAultonGonzalez .Elizabeth@gmail.com. And there are also five.
What is that phone number again?
The phone number is area code 360-732-7076. 7076.
Please continue.
Okay. There are also 5 talks with Chrism starting May 3rd, the week before the seminar, up in the Puget Sound area. So starting Sunday, May 3rd, is at Vision Quest Bookstore and Wellness Center in Everett, Washington, from 1 to 4 p.m. Monday, May 4th, is at Phoenix Rising Bookstore in Port Townsend from 7 to 10 p.m. Wednesday, May 6th, is at Manresa Castle in Port Townsend from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. On Thursday, May 7th, is at the East West Bookstore, or Bookshop, rather, in Seattle from 6:15 to 9 p.m. And Friday, May 8th, is at Expansions Yoga in Silverdale, and that is from 6 to 10 p.m.
Well, thank
also,
you.
I have one other announcement.
Sure.
There will be an interview tomorrow with Chrism for the Washington seminar on Om Times Radio, on Radio Namaste with Sarah Nash at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you Google Om Times Radio, you can get on the show, or if you are on any of the KAS Facebook pages, I will have the link posted.
Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth, and everybody. I would love to see you there. I'd love to see you in Washington at Manresa Castle, May 8th and 9th, right? 8th and 9th.
9th and 10th.
May 9th and 10th. So May 9th and 10th, 9 and 10 at Manresa Castle. And I spoke with Sarah Nash today. She's a lovely woman, absolutely bubbling over with joy and happiness, and really, really looking forward to the interview tomorrow. And I would encourage everybody who's listening to this, if you would like to and you have the time, tune in to Om Times Radio, Sarah Nash, Radio Namaste. She spells it Nahmastae. And really, check it out and call in with any of your questions if you have questions as well. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
All right. Well, today I'd like to talk about a number of subjects. One of the subjects, though, is the fragmentation. I know I've done other programs about the fragmentation, but I haven't done other programs where I have people here who have direct experience with their own kind of fragmentation. And today I have Brooke Robertson, and she is indeed from Pennsylvania. She's a Georgia person. She was raised in Georgia, and she, through her various life experiences, moved to New York, and then to Pennsylvania. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to her.
Are we on?
We are on, Brooke. Go right ahead, my dear.
Hi, everybody. Brooke. Okay, so they're not talking back to me.
They won't talk back to you, my dear.
Well, thanks for having me on and to discuss this topic of fragmentation, which I love. This is the first time I've really, in the last few months, understood the word fragmentation or associated my experience with fragmentation. I didn't know what was happening with me, and I think that's part of the pain of it all. But my experience happened about 7 or 8 years ago. It began. I started with a lot of emotions and a lot of weird energy in the solar plexus. And then I wasn't sure what it was. I had a lot of doctor's appointments. Nothing was found. And, I just sort of lived with it. But I've found that, my emotions were sort of breaking down and I couldn't eat. I wasn't sure what was going on. Shortly after that, I had been attacked by a dog on the mouth. Now, what I was doing, I was working as a professional model, and I was in the beauty and spa business. So I was managing spas and working as a spokesperson for beauty and commercial modeling and commercial acting. So when I was attacked by the dog, it sort of changed my direction in my life for a bit there. I had 6 reconstructive surgeries to try and put my mouth back on. And it was very traumatic, but this was the beginning of I would say, the breakdown of what Chrism calls the fragmentation. And I didn't really know, and I think it's just frightening enough to go through something like that. But I guess what I want to say is, after that experience, nothing seemed to work in my life after that. Nothing. It was like everything was falling apart and breaking down. No matter how I tried, no matter how hard I tried to fight it or tried to put something together or, do anything, it just was not working. It was like I was paddling upstream. So I don't know what else. Kind of losing my track there.
Well, no, that's okay. So as you were experiencing this, how were people treating you? How were your job opportunities?
Okay, yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry about that. With the solar plexus, I'm not really sure, but I wasn't eating, and I was not, after the dog attack, I was not able to work. So I did have to resign from my career. I had huge surges of emotional purging going on, which I did not know what it was. I thought I might be disordered. I thought I might have some sort of mental thing going on. I was on the floor just, crying, and I was in emotional turmoil.
Sobbing,
yes. And, my intimate relationship was breaking down. Everything in my life on every level, career, my friends, my intimate relationship, where I lived, who I associated with, everything was being emptied out and broken down, and it was terrifying. It was so extremely painful. So, no one understood what I was going through. A lot of people wanted to fix me or admit me or, maybe give me anxiety drugs.
So you went to MDs about this, and what did they say?
I never actually went to an MD about that, but I had friends who were MDs. Well, yeah, but they would want to put me on anxiety meds or...
Why did you resist that?
Ask me to go see a psychiatrist. Why did I resist that? That's a good question. I don't think it was part of my belief system to go that route. I also felt a longing for my spirituality and my purpose. I could feel that coming through as well. So there was that going on. I didn't feel like meds or drugs was going to be the answer for me at all.
Were you having any kind of energetic phenomena occurring while this was going on? Anything that would fit, say, a metaphysical type of experience?
Yeah, that actually began to come a few years later.
When you say a few years later, from the dog bite?
From the dog bite, from this swirling energy in the stomach, which I was not able to eat food. So I was getting very, very skinny. And then the emotions were surging out of control, and I wasn't able to really function. It was bad.
What was your dream life like? Do you recall?
I don't recall anything like that going on.
Were you receiving any kind of instruction on where to look or where to get any information on this?
I was receiving that from myself, from my own.
From your own process? From
my own process. I would go online and look spiritual awakening, spiritual crisis. I looked that up and read everything out there possible that I could find on that, because that did resonate with me a little bit. I didn't really learn anything about Kundalini until I think it was about a year ago.
And what happened then? And so this is a year ago, so you're talking like maybe 6 years after.
Right. I've been in that frag for seven years or so with just nothing. I think the worst part of it was just that I kept trying to go back to my old reference points, and they weren't there. my old life was completely gone. It was just obliterated. And, you just keep going back and you try to be that old person, or, I would go into agencies, modeling agencies, and they'd tell me no. They'd tell me that I was too pretty.
You were too pretty?
Yeah, or
too pretty for a modeling agency?
I would go into interviews for spas and things like that, and they wouldn't, the wrong words would come out of my mouth. I mean, it was getting to the point where I thought it was getting a little. I started to think there's something else that has to be going on here. It's not, this isn't me. It's not like I am a bad person. Like, what is going on? And it was clear after a while that there was a force pushing me in another direction, and I was resisting it. And that was a lot of the pain for me, was my resistance. But I didn't realize I was resisting. I thought I was doing the right thing by trying to go back and do my old life, and it just wasn't there anymore. You have to let all that go, and you have to, this is a letting go of who you thought you were. That's what it was for me.
And on an everyday level, I mean, what were you experiencing on an everyday level as far as, that letting go? Were you just kind of like in a bewilderment?
I was lost and confused. I had no direction and no points of reference point, because everything that I identified with was external to myself, I think. Like my job and my relationships and, who I thought I was and those things. And, that's pretty terrifying for the ego when you don't have that there anymore. I mean, everything was gone. And even the way I looked was different.
So that brings you up to like about a year ago, and what shifted then?
Well, I had been doing work with, spiritual mentors, and I was always searching for help. I was completely emotionally out of whack and ungrounded. This process of the fragmentation is not a grounding process. It's very ungrounding. And, I didn't know what grounding was. Even though I was in spa and wellness and I was doing all of that, I didn't really have a practice so I started to find some help, online, and some teachers, and I actually do not remember how I found the term Kundalini. Oh, I know what it was. I started grounding and learning a little bit more about meditation, and meditation wasn't new to me, but it was not something I had been doing during the fragmentation at all. And when I was meditating, I had these slow movements. I wasn't being forced, but I had like a type of Kriya. And so I would look that up. And I had other little things going on that were Kriyas. And I think that's where I learned of Kundalini.
The word itself?
Yeah.
The word itself? Well,
I looked up spontaneous movement, or I Googled something. Google was my friend.
So you started looking at Kundalini related articles and websites, and what occurred then?
Well, I did my filtering and all my research. Some things resonated with me, most things didn't. Your site obviously did. And louder. And let's see, I think what happened was I joined the CAS Facebook and kind of poked around there a little bit and spent about 8 months kind of stalking the site. And wasn't really sure, wasn't sure about it. And then there was one teaching that went online. I think Julia posted that. It was on fragmentation, and it was just, when I read that, I cried. It took me to my knees, because there's a part in that teaching that Chrism says, the gift is, and this is not quote, standing in your rubble, and it's only you that can, if you are seeing it as a gift. And that, when I read those words,
I think it's great as this gift, but you must be willing to stand within the rubble of your own ruination to receive it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, because, that is what would happen. I mean, everything, as far as I'm concerned, was was removed, and this was a process of refinement, and it was a process of conditioning for me. And I didn't realize it at the time, obviously, but it was that. It was a gift. And when I read those words, that's when I reached out to Chrism, and I'm thinking I didn't know what he was. I didn't know he was a teacher. But the funny thing is that for about a year before I spoke with him, I had been asking, that I was ready for a teacher and I needed a teacher. So that whole thing worked out really quickly.
And so you read the fragmentation, Kundalini fragmentation that Julia posted.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? What was the next thing that occurred?
Well, I emailed you.
You emailed me. And
I emailed Chrism, and we kind of played phone tag a little bit there.
Because I was traveling in Shasta at the time.
And this was interesting. So he was away and very busy, and I think I reached out to Santara at one point, and I said, well, he hasn't gotten back to me. Is there another email? And then I let it go for a few weeks, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just, continue the way I'm going, and I was doing a little bit better. I was stabilized, and finally, Chrism.
I sent a happy face.
Yeah, we did little happy faces, and I'm like, this is so odd. But we could. So finally, there came a day where he said, "Can you go green now?" on Skype. I said yes, and we talked, and that was a conversation that changed my life, and it was about an hour long, and he was very. What was coming through the line was Chrism, yes, but it was the Kundalini, and it went straight into my heart and straight into me, and it was so powerful. And it was not. When I hung up that session, I thought this was a conversation you would have with a friend that you've known for years. You wouldn't have had, and we had just met, officially met. So after that conversation, or the time with him on Skype, I had the 3 to 4 days, maybe even a little longer, of absolute bliss, total bliss, where I'm on my knees crying, in joy, absolute joy, and I'm in awe that I had found this particular teacher, and that I actually didn't even know that he was there the whole time on the internet, for 8 months before. I just didn't really know. But this period of bliss, I received so much information and instruction that was going to move me out of fragmentation. As a very specific instruction on what to do.
What was that instruction, if you don't mind sharing? I mean, I know you can't remember all of it.
I actually can't remember all of it. I just can tell you that that's what I received. But I can tell you that there's going to be some major changes that required of me, moves and things like that. And it wasn't, oh, well, now, Brookie, you need to do that. It was like a command. These are the things you need to do. It was very strong, very powerful.
And what was your response? I mean, as you came out of the bliss, and how did you feel once the bliss waves settled down?
That's a good question. That's important, because then you go right into doubt. Like, did that really happen? Is that really what I need to do? Then you have all the ego questions and concerns and whatever else is going on with you. For me, it was, I had to double check and question, a lot of doubt. I think there was one 12-hour period where I actually called Chrism back and said, no, I can't do this. This is crazy. So I went into just a period of real questioning myself and what I had received.
Mm-hmm. Well, just a moment here. We have a caller, and I want to make sure that I see that Elizabeth has come down. So just a second here. Oh, how do we do this? Let's see. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Hi, this is Chrism.
This is Sovereign.
Hi. Are you calling into the program, or are you listening to it on your phone?
I was listening to my phone and calling in.
Oh, okay. How may I assist you, my friend?
I kind of wanted to tell you my experience with the Kundalini and ask you how I can get back to that.
Okay, go ahead, caller. What's your name?
Sovereign.
Sovereign?
Yeah.
Okay, Sovereign, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my experience with the Kundalini was kind of a bad and a good thing. Well, I went to the hospital, and for various reasons, I'm not really going to name, but I just got in trouble, basically. And I was put on before I was about to be put on medication and stuff, and all of a sudden I felt like this energy, like this intense energy, go up my spine to the crown of my head. It was like snake-like, coiling up the top of my head, and I saw this lady that in 3D, like she was running from something into her room. And it was really mystical, the whole experience. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, what the heck is that? And it was really powerful. And I felt like intense joy and peace and stuff when it happened.
And what happened after the initial sensations went away? What happened then?
I don't remember everything. It's been a while since this happened.
How long has it been?
It's been a couple of years.
Couple of years. Have you still been pursuing it?
I've been trying, but I feel like the fact, because I guess I'll just tell you, I'm kind of on medication, and I feel like that's slowing me down from achieving the Kundalini experience.
Well, that will.
Sure.
It will do that. It will do that for sure. Sovereign, it will do that. So that in and of itself is a level of information for you on what you would want to do to begin to develop a new relationship with your Kundalini. Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have control of your health care?
Not really. Kind of, not really. Like, I'm kind of like, I had signed something that, like, basically, the doctors, I can't get off my medication unless the doctors say.
Right.
And if I have another episode, then they'll send me to a ward or something.
Are you living at home with your parents? Are you living at home?
Yeah.
With your family?
Yeah.
Okay, and your family is behind this as well, right?
Yeah.
And so basically, your family wants you to stay on the medication, right?
Yeah, they want me to get off it, but they don't want me to go cold turkey.
Oh, well, that's not a bad plan, Sovereign. That's not a bad plan at all. You know, of course, you would want to find an MD. Now, here's the thing. This is what you can do. You can find an MD that understands about the Kundalini, and what you'd want to do is you'd want to Google Kundalini plus, the plus sign, MD plus comprehension. Google those three words, and that might be able to at least filter down, from all the MDs in the world, to a point where you could have an MD that has heard of Kundalini, that knows about Kundalini at least a little bit, and that MD, hopefully in your area, would be able to, begin to take charge. I mean, all you need is some guy or gal that has the MD behind their name, and they can pretty much take over your case from the current ones.
And that MD might be able to help you. It's called titration. And you're titrating down from a current dose of, let's just say they put you on lithium. Well, then you would titrate down, from your current level of lithium to a smaller level for a certain amount of time. And then as time went on, it would be a smaller level after that, and a smaller level after that, and that would go on until you're basically not on that drug anymore.
Well, I can tell you what the drug I'm on.
What's that?
Invega Sustenna.
Say again?
Invega Sustenna.
Oh, okay. Well, and it's a trank, right? It's an antipsychotic.
Yeah,
so this is the medical term for this is the medical response to not understanding Kundalini. Now the symptoms, Sovereign, that you described to me it sounds like a classical Kundalini awakening.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to congratulate you for having that, and I want to congratulate you for calling in the program here and asking for ways to renew and to restore your relationship with that force. And I think your family is also behind you on this, because I'm sure that this medication has changed your personality to such a degree that it's frightening for your family to see this change in you. Am I correct?
Yeah.
They don't want to see you this way. They know you're not as you are on the drug when you're off of the drug, and so they want to see their son back. They want to see the real Sovereign back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
so
I'm
go ahead.
I'm on schizophrenic medication.
I know. All the MDs, when they don't understand the Kundalini, the first thing they run to is the schizophrenic drug shelf, or they run for the bipolar drug shelf, and they just toss a few of those down your mouth, and then they feel that you're healed and released, as they say. Not the case with Kundalini people. So the very fact that you're calling in this show, I think, is a clear indication that you have other alternatives to pursue. And one of those alternatives, with your family's support, would be to find an MD that understands the Kundalini and let that MD begin to titrate you, as per their own medical expertise. Because, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't give medical advice, but I can tell you to go see an MD. I can tell you to go see a medical doctor that understands Kundalini. Okay.
And also, I do have holistic doctors that I probably am going to see, but I'm waiting to. My sister's getting us enough money so I can go see a holistic doctor.
Now, is that an MD?
I don't know if it's an MD, but I know they know about meditation.
Well, yeah. It's going to be somewhat different.
Yoga.
No, I understand, and meditation and yoga are excellent venues for restoring Kundalini, but I do feel that you'll need to get off of that medication, and the only way you can really do that legally in this world, at least in the Western world, is through the MD, the resources of an MD, and so I would strongly suggest that the holistic doctor may be able to help you find one that could do that. So make sure you put that in on your question list when you're talking to that holistic doctor. Ask that holistic doctor if they are legally allowed to modulate your medication, and if so, then they can help you titrate down. And if not, maybe they will know of an MD that is a little more educated than your general MD, who doesn't really have a clue about MD or about Kundalini. And then you can get yourself out of that chemical cage.
Yeah, because every time when I've, because I've been on and off my medication and stuff, and the first time it happened was, I don't know if it was necessarily a Kundalini awakening, but the first time it happened, I felt a spiritual experience is when I was hearing voices and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, there were dark voices. They weren't nice voices. But then after that, I know I heard after that, I experienced like a burst of pure positive energy, like out of this world type of energy. I don't know what it was, but it was like an adrenaline rush and like all this love, and I was very happy. I don't know what that.
Now, the voices that you heard at first are typical discarnate spiritual entities, which I just call them entities, and they're typically dark. But if you tell that you tell an MD that you heard voices, well, that's why they put you on the schizophrenic meds, because anybody that hears a voice that other people don't hear, they don't believe in telepathy. They don't believe in anything other than what their medical school taught them, and that's a very limited perspective on life. And so they would immediately reach for the schizophrenia drugs and give you a diagnosis of schizophrenia. And so the thing that you want to do is you want to ask that holistic doctor if he knows of an MD who can take you off of those drugs, and then have your family behind you, and go ahead and do the meditation if that's something that you wish to do. Do the yoga if that's something that you wish to do. Really begin to start the process of reconnecting with your Kundalini, which everything that you've said follows a very clear phenomena history of the Kundalini, Sovereign. That's fairly clear, and I think that's the case as well. Yes. Yeah,
I do. Because I researched it.
Exactly. I mean, you're not anybody's fool. The only reason you're a little slow right now is because the MDs, dumbing you down with those chemicals. I mean, that's the bottom line. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't need to suffer this way any longer. You know that you had Kundalini. Now we have one of our chat room people, Manisha's typing, and I'm going to relay to you her message that she's typing to you. But you can go ahead and do the holistic doctor. Oh, here she said. Oh, Manisha's she says, love to you, caller. Love to you, Sovereign. She's sending you her love. Another thing, we also have a certified acupuncturist Chinese doctor in Julia, and I don't know if Julia would have anything to say. So Julia, I see that you're online. If you have anything that you'd like to talk to the caller about from your perspective as an acupuncturist and a Chinese medical expert, then I would welcome your participation with him as well. The holistic doctor may or may not be able to take you off of that drug, Sovereign. I see Julia is typing now. We'll wait for her for BlogTalk to send that through. But I want to congratulate you, Sovereign. You haven't.
Thank you.
You haven't given up on your Kundalini. You haven't buckled.
Yeah, I meditate constantly.
Really, really good. I mean, you're doing very, very well. And you're doing very well under fairly traumatic circumstances. I mean, you're being forced to take a medicine to try to take away a divine gift. And the divine gift just isn't going to go away, but it's going to drive you. Okay, here's what Julia says. Julia, she says, a naturopathic doctor could definitely help him. Also, a psychologist trained in transpersonal psychology also be able to help. And she says, love and blessings to you, Sovereign, wishing you all the best on your path. And she says, stay strong. And she offers you a heart. So make sure though that when you talk, and she's absolutely right on target. As always, Julia, you're an awesome woman, a naturopathic doctor. But when you talk to them on the phone or you email them, make sure you put the word Kundalini in there. do you understand Kundalini? Or another word for that would be, for the medical term, would be spiritual emergency, is another way that they like to phrase it. And that goes with the psychologist as well, because not all psychologists understand Kundalini. They see it as an illness. And so you want to make sure that your psychologist or your naturopathic doctor doesn't see Kundalini as an illness. Sovereign, are we clear on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you know, is your sister listening to this right now?
No.
Okay. Make sure you take some notes, my friend. Are you taking notes?
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Yeah. And show those to your sister. And so a naturopathic doctor could definitely help him. And this is according to Julia, who, she's quite well trained in these areas. A naturopathic doctor who understands Kundalini. You have to put after each job title that I'm giving you here, naturopathic doctor, psychologist, transpersonal psychologist, behind each of that, you need to put in parentheses who understands Kundalini or spiritual emergency. Put that in parentheses around it, right?
I'm doing it right now.
That's the most important thing, because otherwise, they're just going to try to steer you towards another type of drug or another type of therapy that is designed to close down your Kundalini. What they, and the other thing you want to do, when you have this very, very strong phenomena, Sovereign, when you have that strong phenomena, you don't necessarily want to tell everybody what's happening. You're learning that the hard way.
Yeah.
The only reason you're on that, yeah, exactly, for sure. You need to talk to people that have Kundalini. So, for instance, Julia, she has the Kundalini. She knows so much about it that she could help you with it. Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, Fashji, Madhava Savni, Manisha, MJ Henderson, all these people who, myself included, Brooke and Rosemary Goliath, I mean, these are people who have the Kundalini. They know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was going to say also, I have problems with the lower energies now. I didn't have that before, but really trying to control that lower energy.
Who's speaking
and,
in the background?
Not expelling it. Oh, that's my brother.
Is he listening to this show as well?
Oh no, he's downstairs. He doesn't even know I'm talking on the phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you might have problems in the lower chakras. I think the medication may dumb down the sexual response, so you may not have a strong sexual feeling at this moment, and that's another great reason to get off of it. But don't worry, do your meditations. Let your sister sounds like she's really on your side, right?
Yeah.
So, let her take you to the holistic doctor and ask those questions. Does he understand or does she understand about Kundalini? And if not, does she know somebody or does he know somebody who does? And let's really look at an anti-chemical release from your current circumstances. Drugs. What is the president's wife back in the 80s? She said, just say no to drugs. And you know what? That's what I'd like to say to every MD that tries to chemically treat somebody having Kundalini. Just say no to drugs. I mean, this is not helping you. It's just slowing you down, but you'll get through this. You will get through it. You follow.
Also, I had another experience, because I tried to get off the drugs, with my way a couple times, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had an experience. I don't know what this was about, but it was on 11/11/11. I was outside and I was looking at the sun, and the sun was closer to the earth than it appeared to be any other day. And all of a sudden, like, the sun seemed like it was getting attacked by stuff. And all of a sudden, I saw a beam of light coming towards me, like a huge beam of light. It was coming right towards me. And I don't know what it was about. I got up after that, so I don't know what it was about. It may have been a spiritual master coming to see me. I'm not sure, but...
Well, I mean, a lot of different things can happen, certainly while you're having Kundalini and yet not being allowed to have it on a physical level. The other levels, your spiritual level, is working just fine. And you may have been guided to be in that particular position at that particular moment to receive guidance from the Kundalini. And so, you know, let your sister help you. Go to that holistic MD. Don't give up on your Kundalini, Sovereign, okay?
All right.
And follow Julia's advice and look for a naturopathic doctor that understands Kundalini, or a psychologist trained in transpersonal psychology that understands, and get yourself free, my friend. Free yourself.
Yeah.
And I
used to be able to be very...
Well, I want to invite you to regularly listen to this show.
All right.
Okay? I want you to learn as much as you can possibly learn about the Kundalini, so that you know what you're going into when you're released from the chemicals, so that nothing, you know, is surprising to you to such a degree that you know you would frighten yourself or frighten those around you to such a degree that they would want you back on the drugs, right? So really learn about it. Do your research, as you have done. Do your research, and know that myself, Chrism, or Julia, or any of the people on here, they're very, very helpful people, very knowledgeable people. And I want you to really feel free to participate in this program and ask whatever questions you have. Okay?
All right. Oh, also, I just want to say, what was I going to say? I forgot what it was.
No worries. No worries. I want you to continue to listen to the program. I'm going to put you in the blue right now. And I want to thank you for calling, Sovereign. Nice to meet you. A pleasure speaking with you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Okay, here you go. Into the blue. I would like to thank Manisha. I would like to thank Julia. Thank you both for helping Sovereign. It's a difficult thing to be put away. And this really translates quite well into a fragmentation. I mean, think about it. You know, this guy is having bliss. You know, he's having surges up the spine. He's having these types of things, Brooke, that, I mean, this is the road you did not travel.
Right, yeah.
And so as after you had the Skype with me and you had those levels of bliss, what occurred to your process then?
What do you mean?
Well, how did it change the way you were approaching your equation at that point?
Well,
what were you advised to do, and what did you do?
Well, you know, I mean, I was validated. The whole process that I had been through was validated for me, and I felt that I was able to release and surrender to the process a little bit more, so that I could receive. You know, because there were so many years where I did not understand what was going on at all, and I felt crazy and I felt insane. And
if your family had known about this, perhaps they'd have put you on the same route that Sovereign's on right now.
Well, luckily, you know, my family will try to do the more holistic approach. But yeah, I mean, everyone that knew me at the time, in and out of my life coming through those years, wanted to try to fix me because I was broken. And I did have, you know, actually a life coach who specialized in psychology. So she was psychology/life coach, telling me that I did have like a mental disorder. And so it's funny because even at that time, this was years ago, I was almost a bit relieved, like, oh, there's a label. Finally, I can figure out what's going on. And, I did have phenomena that wasn't frightening for me. It was, I had the cone coming out. I had vision fading, where, we call it the whiteout. I don't know if that's you use that term.
Now, for the audience, so that when Brooke is mentioning a cone will typically form over the top of the fontanelle. This is part of the cranial plate migration, which will kind of form a protrusion that is coming out of the fontanelle, and a person can feel it quite tactilely. It's a very strong feeling of a protrusion coming out of the top of your head. And if you look at any of the heads of an awakened Buddha or any of a lot of the Asian cultures will put it into their sculpture. There's an actual protrusion like a little mini 4-inch bump coming out of the top of the person's fontanelle, and a lot of the Kundalini people will have this, and this is what Brooke is referring to. Continue.
Yeah, and I had where the room would completely white out and glistening, shimmery. My vision would fade out, and it would just dial into one thing that I might be looking at. And I had the cone rise, so I had a lot of that going on. It didn't frighten me, so I wasn't, in this case, running off to an MD, but I did have that one person, and she was trying to help me, tell me that I had a disorder, mental disorder. And I think one of my biggest things, one of my symptoms that seems to kind of cover my memory when I'm looking back on it, is the emotional surges that I have were just out of control. I mean, the pain that I was processing, the emotional pain, and it just didn't. Even though my situation was bad, I had to move to another town. I didn't know anyone. It didn't warrant the pain that I was feeling. Did
you find yourself flying off into rages or into?
Absolutely, I was. Yeah, it was frightening. It was, yeah. And so, my partner at the time did not understand any of this and just wanted to put me on medication. And
which is what happens to a lot of people doing this.
And because I don't tend to go that route, so I have a background of holistic wellness, that I didn't do that, and that just made things worse.
Well, can you tell them a little bit about your background? I mean, you said you were a top model, and then what else? Something about?
Well, I was running spas and wellness centers across the country, and I've been a model and a commercial actor since my 20s, early 20s. So that's what I was doing. And this, the spa and wellness industry is all about healing and beauty and inner wellness and all of that. So that was the industry I was in when I was attacked by that dog. And
what happened? Why did that dog attack you in the first place? What's up with that? Tell us a little bit about that, if you would. What were you doing?
I was buying organic eggs at a farm, and that's it. I just turned to say goodbye, and I put my hand up in a wave gesture, and the dog was just, I think someone was petting it at the time that I did that, and it just lunged at my mouth and literally tore my mouth off.
So imagine that, folks. Imagine that. Now that's a fragmentation in almost a literal sense.
But I look back on that, and I think that was the least of it. Not really, but I was sued twice during this time. I couldn't work. I couldn't function. I had emotions coming out of me that I wasn't recognizing myself and my personality. I wasn't able to handle anything. I was not able to go and get what I wanted out of life. I was very ambitious before. I had goals, and I had things that I wanted, and I usually did okay to get those, and none of this was happening. None of it. Everything was, I just didn't recognize anything. I didn't recognize myself or the experiences that I was having.
Now, when you had the bliss after the Skype, how did that change things?
That
Had you had that kind of bliss before?
I had bliss before. I did, but this was different. It was, it changed things because it brought about a restoring of my memory too. And I've told you this. It was about, I was remembering some things about myself and also the truth about myself, and a little bit about what I need to do in this life. And so it was that really changed.
And during the bliss, did you get like a direct instruction from the Kundalini itself?
Absolutely, many, and to the point where there was one time where I tried to rush over to my cell phone to hit video because the instructions were coming out of my mouth. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes they were like little blocks of info downloaded, and then sometimes I was speaking it. But I cannot remember what was coming out of my mouth.
Right. and so what did you end up doing?
I kept quiet for 2 weeks. I didn't tell you about it, and because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, what I was seeing, and what I was coming to know and understand. And then I did have a period where I doubted what I had gone through with the bliss too, big time. Mm. So I think by that point I had already agreed to come out and visit here.
So you came out to the ashram here as your
immediately after that. So we had one phone call, and that was those plans were made. And that in itself is unusual for me. It took a lot for me to kind of jump on that. But after the bliss, there was just no questioning.
And what was happening to your emotional body, your heart at the time? What was going on there?
Expanding, exploding, incredible. I don't even know how to articulate the love that was pouring in me and out of me, and the radiance that was moving through me. And I remember going to the mirror after that Skype conversation and looking completely different, looking totally different, like the just couldn't believe it. Yeah, my heart was exploding, I think is how I put it.
Well, I just want to say that since Brooke has come out here, she's just been a real beautiful example of a Kundalini awakened woman coming into her own. We were at Tahoe the last time that the show didn't go, and we were doing some entity removal type of practices there, and she dove right into that 34-degree water, and as did Rosemary, and they both, and that does have a very, very strong effect on the human physiology. My gosh, it can take your breath away literally. And if that's the case, you do need to get out a little bit and catch your breath again, and then see if you can come back in. And Brooke and Rosemary, both of them handled it very, very well. Because anytime you stay in a motel room, you're going to get entities. Just know that. It's just they kind of collect in those types of areas. And the Kunalini in Brooke and in Rosemary rose to the occasion and kept a lot of that stuff right off of them. Brooke is doing the safeties now. She's doing the safeties. She's got a personalized practice for herself, as does Rosemary, and she's doing that every day. And how do you feel about that when you're doing that, Brooke?
Oh, I love the safeties. Yeah, very, very good.
How do you feel? What is the part of the practice that you feel affects you the most positive?
I would say my favorite are the Tibetans. I love the meditation. I love all the things I'm learning, the breathing, alternate nostril breathing, all of it.
When you were looking at the Sri Yantra,
right,
and you were just kind of staring at it, and you were seeing the different triangles come up, and tell them what happened when you said Om as you were staring at the Sri Yantra.
When I began to chant Om, everything began to fade out, and I think it went into whiteout then. I think I saw the blue and the gold circles.
Oh, okay.
Around.
Sure.
And whiteout.
Yeah, whiteout for her, folks, is when her peripheral view goes white, and her main field of vision forms somewhat of a tunnel.
A tunnel, and then there's the...
A tunnel. Then whatever she's focusing on takes on a different level of visual comprehension.
Right.
And I'm nourishing, or at least that's my instruction, is to nourish this in her and to let this really begin to build in her. And so I just want to say thank you so much, Brooke Robertson, everybody. This is Brooke Robertson. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And most of all, thank you for sharing your Kundalini with us, Brooke.
Thank you, Chris. Pleasure.
Now I'd like to move on over to Rosemary Goliath. And Rosemary, I'm going to ask you to move a lot closer because I know how soft your voice is. Come all the way up here. Okay. Rosemary, now, what was your experience when you were leaving the convent? Can you give people a bit of a history lesson on who you are and what your spiritual experience is?
Well, my spiritual experience over the years has varied, and I am seeing it a lot differently in being a student of Chrism's, and can see the Kundalini presence there throughout my life. And as a young person, right at the end of high school, I joined a sisters community and was there for 25 years.
You became a Catholic nun.
I was a Catholic, and I joined the community of sisters and became a nun. And the prompting for that happened when I was a sophomore, and I just heard a woman do a vocation talk in my school and describe the signs of this vocation, it's called, this calling to this religious life. And I just said, oh my goodness, she's talking to me. And that was it, that I knew that God wanted me to do that. I didn't talk with anybody about it, or even my family, until 10 days before the other classmates of mine, 3 other people, were being received into the community. And that's an unusual way to do that, and a little presumptive of, that I should have.
And you moved all the way up in this Catholic sisterhood, all the way up to the position of Mother Superior.
I was in a community of sisters. It's called a local community. They were grade school and high school teachers, and we had a couple gals who worked in an office. So, yes, I did that. It was a couple years, and then was assigned to Minnesota. And it was here that I began to see that the message of the spiritual message I was getting is that I was to leave the community. And I've said before, and some people may remember me saying, it took God more to get me out than it did to get me in. And that's just the way it was. But I know now all of that was divine Kundalini presence in my life, guiding me. Couple years.
This actually relates a bit to, I think, a fragmentation a lot, because it took you out of something that you were in for 25 years that you excelled at. And then all of a sudden you're here, you're thrown out into the world, and you hadn't even seen The Wizard of Oz, right?
Right. But thank you. I had forgotten about that, but I remember the struggle. It was very hard to leave, and I remember thinking how I didn't really know who I was. I had entered there as I was 16 years old. I was younger than my classmates, but there I was. And now here I was, and I was 42, I think. And that really, I hadn't built other than that narrow path, which was a very good path and a lot of goodness that came to me in that. But
from there, do you remember what it was like? Just like once you left the convent, you're like smack in the middle of the Minnesota cityscape, and now all of a sudden you have to get a job, you have to pay rent.
It was the worst time to that point of looking for a job.
So your really fragmentation was occurring right there.
One of them,
yeah.
Part of it, and life and Kundalini and the care was there. People were there for me too. It was helpful. Of course, it is. Nobody knows what that is, but you going through that. And I did connect with other people in the cities, and that was helpful. Some of you know, 2 years after I left, I met
a highway patrolman, which
he was
for
retired.
those that are not from the United States and they're listening to this, that would be a law enforcement officer who was at the time retired, and they met in a church, I believe.
Yeah, that's a Sunday morning service. And I didn't usually attend that early. I didn't think God was even up that early, but there he was. And we married 2 years later. And I know I said something to Chrism this week about making a difference in somebody's life. And it's very touching for me to remember that. But that really was a major gift to him and myself. When I was thinking, when Brooke was talking, how that the hardest fragmentation I had was when Al died, and that was, we had 12 years, and he's been gone over that by now, but it was this really difficult grieving process. I was the hospital chaplain at the time, and so and one of my responsibilities was leading a grief support group for people with loss. And I didn't do that for a little bit of time after I knew I needed to do my own grieving. And that was major. That was the hardest thing that I had ever done. And I, as well, remember being at the doctor's office for whatever reason. I have been very blessed with good health. But he was asking how I was, and he knew my husband as well. And he offered me some medication. And I said, no, I knew not to do that it would kill the growth that really was necessary. But it's a strange thing. You see them when they're not there. You imagine them. There were several times in which I know that El was there spiritually and was helping me. Or strange way messages would come. I remember a piece of something on the dresser just falling off. And the difficulty, those people who've been through it, and I think all of you, the same way with what Brooke had shared, can recognize it. But when people haven't, they will say very simple things that are very painful. Remember one morning somebody saying to me, how are you doing? And exactly, I'm thinking of how my heart is in this grieving. This was several months later. It doesn't go very fast. It takes a couple years at least. But I said, oh, it's been a hard week. And he said, oh, the flu? And I was heading in the restaurant around the corner. I just kept moving. And someone with him just looked at me and shook her head and said she understood. But those kinds of things. And it's very difficult. But it is something that you can live through as well, and there's growth, there's change,
and it led you straight to the Kundalini.
I was being carried and cared for. I would want to say that struck me also about the fragmentation is when I went home from here last year. It is a very striking example to me with the time here last year, couple months, and when I stepped into this, now the house, I would say this too, the house that I live in, Al built in his retirement, and it's a beautiful log house. But anyway, I stepped in to the house right from the airport, and I knew immediately things had to go. I was startled by the clarity that I had, and I just started right then to clear things out and simplify.
To unclutter.
Yes, unclutter. It wasn't bad clutter. They're beautiful things.
Yeah.
And as well, some other details of like getting to the closets. And I, by this time, I was retired from the hospital chaplaincy, so a lot of things I didn't need. It was clarity that I've never had like that in that setting. And I know it was the change and what happened here. So I'm very grateful.
Well, and I am grateful to the two of you, both Brooke and Rosemary, for sharing your experiences with the fragmentation. I would like to read a little bit from the group here. Brooke, Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez says, I just want to say I'm really enjoying this show. And Julia says, thank you so much, Brooke. I really enjoyed hearing you describe your experiences. I'm so happy for you and the amazing growth you're going through.
Thank you.
And Madheva Sadvi said, me too. And Julia just said, thank you, Rosemary. Thank you. And I want to thank you both. The Kundalini will come into your life as sovereign, and everybody who's listening knows, and it can really, really, really change the way you view your personal reality. And by changing that viewpoint, you can really begin to open into the grace that you're having. And I see Madheva Sadvi is typing, and I'll be happy to read what she's writing on here. But before we go too much longer, I know that Our Holiness Santara has prepared some questions, and I want to make room to answer some of those questions. Hello, Santara. I see you've been going in and out. What's going on?
I don't know, Chrism.
We'll hope you stay on for a little while.
Yeah, I'm down in Paris, so that might have something to do.
Ah, yes.
Do you want me to begin, or do you want to wait?
Let's see. Madheva Sadvi is saying I was going to say, love you all and thank you. This is Madheva Sadvi saying to both of you, love you all and thank you. And Manisha's also typing. And when Manisha's typing comes through, we'll go ahead and read that. Santara, if you can go ahead and prepare your questions. I'm ready to take them when you're ready to state them.
Yes, I have them here, Chrism.
And Manisha says, love to all. Rosemary, I am reducing myself from 115 M2 plus attic plus basement plus garage to 15 M2 plus a bit of storage. I'm not sure what that means. Material detox.
Downsizing.
Manisha says, it's so good. Capital letters. Square meters. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you. Wow. I'm reducing myself from 115 square meters to 15 square meters, plus a bit of storage. Wow. That's quite a bit. Manisha. Nicely done. Okay, Santara, lay it on me, girl.
Okay, well, the first question today is from Simon, and he asked it on the group, so I'll ask that one first. He says, I'm so used to my organic spices and chilies, and I'm doing my best to cut back. What's the effect with spices on Kundalini? Because you mentioned, Chrism, not to use these.
Yeah, Kundalini, certainly within very specific stages, and a lot of the stages of Kundalini requires more of a bland diet. When you spike your diet with spices, certainly the hot chili peppers and things of that nature, you're forcing open some of the 1,000-petaled lotus on the cranium, and you're pushing that open, and a lot of heat comes through, and a lot of the Kundalini will also accompany that heat, and you can cause areas of burnout up there, just as if you were smoking pot or drinking whiskey or doing something of that level. And so it's really, really important that we don't cater to the taste buds of the ego, so to speak. And I've learned this a lot myself, and I found that as I backed off, I only use one spice now, really. Sometimes these days, I'll try some hot sauce, but it's very, very, very small amount. Black pepper is really the only spice that I use, and as anybody who's stayed here at the ashram knows, you'll see me grinding away on that black pepper, and it's not a hot spice. It's a heart spice. It's good for the heart, and so I always want to do that. But yeah, hyperstimulation through spices is something that you would like to avoid. Get yourself into the process for a few years before you choose to unbalance it, say,
within the understanding of. Sorry, Julia's going. Julia. So bad. So bad, that girl. I tell you what. She goes, LL, and don't forget the chalupa. That's a hot sauce. That's what I was mentioning. I was not forgetting that. Oh, boy. Yeah, But I've had this 26 years. I think some changes have occurred. Anyway, yeah. So it's certainly in the nascent and beginning stages. You could wait like maybe 7 to 8 years before you want to have hot spices or really really strong spices. You want to be very careful with that. You don't want to blow out those things. I mean, a lot of the mistakes I made in my early process, I made because it knew I was going to teach. And, Manisha had to Google that. She said, what the heck is chalupa? But anyway, yeah, a lot of the mistakes I made was so that you wouldn't have to. And so you don't necessarily want to walk my path in that regard. Not everything I did during my fragmentation do you want to, repeat in your process. And so, yeah, say again. Like the homelessness, yes. Brooke, yes, yeah, we don't want to do the homeless thing. Hopefully, none of you will have to do that. So, thank you for that question. And next one, Santara.
Okay, why am I affected by the energy of the moon, but the solar flares I hear people talk about don't seem to affect me at all?
Yeah, the energy of the moon has a tidal pull, and it can affect some people that are very sensitive towards that. The moon governs our tides. It governs the tides govern the weather. The weather governs what we're experiencing, and the electromagnetic pull of gravity also has an ability to come into our awareness, and we can be affected by that. It may just be that the Kundalini wants you to feel that level of effect first, rather than an expanded level of effect of sun and moon. Sometimes we have to take things singularly and not in tandem. It isn't always the way you would want it to be, and it's not any guarantee that you're going to feel the effect of solar flares. Even with XM radiation coming through, you don't necessarily need to be aware of that. That's not necessarily a part of the Kundalini equation for everybody. Not everybody feels the lunar pole either. And so, I think to a large degree, this individual is expressing, why aren't my expectations being honored by the Kundalini? If I'm feeling the moon, therefore I expect to feel the solar aspects as well, and that just may not be the case for that person at that time. Next.
Okay, there's two questions about forgiveness, Chrism. So can I read the two of them?
Please.
The first one is there anything that a person can do to another person that can't be forgiven? And the next one was, I don't think I could forgive a person who raped and murdered my daughter. And if I couldn't forgive that, would it mean I was creating karma for myself? Yeah.
Well, is there anything that can be done that you can't forgive a person for? No, there is nothing that can be done that a person cannot be forgiven for. However, that forgiveness may come in stages, and those stages may come in lifetimes, and those lifetimes may include, as you review the life and you see how that occurred, why that person raped and killed your daughter, why that person did what they did, why the daughter was in the place and time where that could occur. and you can begin to piece together karmic elements or karmic pieces of the puzzle that would allow you to understand. And once you understand, then forgiveness can come a lot easier. But forgiveness is a maha power. It is an ultimate force of love, and that is what holds this multiverse together. And love will have its way. And you got to remember that we live behind the veil of illusion. We live within Maya, and because we live in Maya, we're not allowed to know all the things that are occurring within Maya. We saw a movie last night. Brooke and Rosemary drugged me to a movie last night. Kidding. I drugged them.
I knew that.
And we watched a movie that described how a society, as an example of an individual or a group of individuals, was placed behind a wall, and that wall could be seen as a veil that allowed them to have only certain levels of knowledge, certain levels of interaction with each other, and how this was being used as a way to bring them into a level of evolution. And so is it the same with Kundalini. We live within a 5-sense walled city, and that walled city is what allows us to sharpen our focus on very specific traits. And one of those traits is forgiveness. How to forgive the worst and the most atrocious things. I mean, it doesn't all happen in one lifetime. I guarantee you. You have to die, and you have to review, and you have to study and research and know before you go back into the next body, so that you can work out that forgiveness. The forgiveness, that's not so much a karma. I mean, it is understood how difficult having your daughter raped and murdered would be. You know, this isn't seen blindly. That's a horrible, terrible, catastrophic event in a person's life, and certainly has karmic repercussions. So, you know, a person would need to go into a level of healing. There's a level of healing that a person goes into after they've passed, and that part of that healing is to begin to organize and realign that with their divine self. And part of that realignment is to go into levels of responding and understanding why things happened while a person is in that lifetime. So you don't want to expect to do it all in one day. You know, you don't expect to forgive the most atrocious, catastrophic things in one day, in one go, in one life even. As I keep telling the people that come out here, time doesn't exist. Clocks exist. Time, I mean, we live in a level of timelessness. It's only our clocks that allow us to organize time in a certain way. And so, you know, with that in mind, you just need to take advantage of the understanding that Kundalini isn't on our ego-based timeline. Okay, it takes, you know, it has other avenues of approach, and it's very gentle with people that have been really, really traumatized. God is not harsh. God is not a harsh being. Divinity is not harsh, unless you, shall we say, are deserving of that tough love through your actions, through your choices, through that, you know, that comes, say, from just pure mean-spiritedness. Well, then, of course, the Kunalini will be tough with you, just as you would be tough to a child that is knowledgeably disobeying you, or disobedient, or not following the program that the parent who knows better wants them to follow. And I think that is an answer for both questions, my dear.
It is. Thank you, Chrism. Is there any connection between the violet flame and Kundalini?
The what?
The violet.
Oh, the violet flame, yes.
Yes.
Not in the New Age metaphysical sense, you know. Well, I won't do it. The violet. Because I'm seeing violet right now. I get a lot of violet flashes in front of my eyes, a lot behind my eyes. So violet is beautiful. Violet is the convergence of the sacred red of the sacred female and the sacred blue of the sacred male, and that forms a form of purple or violet. And that is the awakened Kundalini. That is the crown chakra. That is that beautiful, amazing blend of the two halves of divinity that we have here in the dual world and also in the non-dual world. And so that violet flame is the Kundalini, and that is a big deal. The violet flame where people are going, oh, I want to know. You know, when you're doing that, no. But it's not bad. I mean, there are worse things a person could be doing. There are worse things that a person could be speculating on or pushing others towards. I mean, the violet flame, basically, you're pushing them into a Kundalini equation eventually, if their karma will allow it, and if they can, you know, if the divine within them will support it. So the violet flame is not a bad deal. It does push a person towards the Kundalini. When you stare at purple, when you stare at a violet, you're looking at that. I mean, go home and mix your watercolors yourself. Mix that red, mix that blue, and look at that color. And know that that's what occurs on the top of your head and behind your heart. Does that answer the question? I'm not sure.
Yes, it does. Beautifully, actually. Very much so. Yeah. Now, the next one is, what does the name Chrism mean?
Well, that's an easy question. Well, if you're a Catholic Christian person, it means the anointing one, that the one who anoints. Like, it would be John the Baptist was giving anointing to those that were about to be baptized, and within a Kundalini context, Chrism means that the one who is giving the anointing of the Kundalini upon an individual, i.e., this is what makes me a Shaktipat guru. This is what makes me a person who can give that grace. And for those of you that received it and have received it in a positive way, then yeah, there you go. Manisha is also saying, oh, I am wearing deep violet purple these days. Yay, you go, girl. That's good. So Chrism and the Chrisming, Chrismming, has to do with the giving of grace, the preparation of grace, and the giving through that preparation. And then you have Chrism, the oh so terrible typist. That person is the one that goes, oh, God, you know, I'm writing so much, and I really hate typing, and I'm typing, and I'm signing, you know, dash Chris Mitchell, and I'm going, well, we can shorten that one. You know, so it starts out as Chris Mitchell, then I'm going Chris M. period, and then I'm just going Chrism, and at that time I have no idea what it means, if it has any spiritual meaning. It's like the Kundalini really jumps up my spine and says, yes, that's how I want you to sign your name, and I'm going, yes, that means less typing for me, and it's like 2 years later that I understand why the Kundalini wanted that name to be given to me. I mean, it renamed me. And that's the story of Chrism.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next question. Why do people get Kriyas? What purpose do they have?
The Kriya phenomena, which is the automatic body positioning. But this can include shaking. This can include even an eye tick can be a Kriya. This can include emotional Kriyas, whereas Brooke was saying she's just going into out of control rages and even into bliss and all of these types of things. These are all Kriyas. These are movements of energy that the Kundalini brings upon the human system, the 5 bodies of the human system. So you'll get automatic body positioning that covers the physical aspect. You'll get automatic emotional responses that covers the emotional body. You'll get automatic psychological kriyas that cover the egotistic body or the psychological body, i.e., do I have fear or do I have courage, these types of things. And you'll have downloads of information that can be seen as kriyas of the mind or the mental body. And of course, you can have spiritual kriyas, which means that you're taken into the cosmos, you're taken into the astral or the ethereal realms, and you're given spontaneous activation sequences there as a spirit. These can happen all at the same time. And this can be extremely, excruciatingly confusing for a person, but for the most part, one or two will happen for an individual at the same time or spread out throughout the day or night. Kriyas are the Kundalini reaching in to the five-body system of the human being and beginning its transformation. Okay?
Okay. The next one is, if I am the observer, and I think you could put that in brackets, isn't that enough? Is that not the same as surrender?
Say again? I'm reading Manisha's, she says.
Yeah.
And you have no phenomena like me. I'm not quite sure about that. Manisha, you'll have to explain that a little bit more. Not quite getting that. But go ahead with the question again.
If I am the observer, isn't that enough? Is that not the same as surrender?
No, that's not enough.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to participate. You have to put that tongue up. You have to put that chin to your chest. You have to put those eyes up, fingers in position. You have to self-correct. You have to modulate your responses. You have to embrace the Kundalini. You have to surrender your ego to the Kundalini. Just hanging out as the observer is not enough. That's just way too easy.
Say more about that.
If you're just hanging out, just observing yourself, what is it you're observing yourself doing?
Okay.
Are you out of body? What is going on? I say, and I teach proaction within the Kundalini awakening. I teach and I suggest that people be proactive in allowing themselves come what the Kundalini wants them to become, to merge with that divine force. If you're just hanging out, observing, how are you merging? Now, not to say that the observer is wrong and that being the observer is wrong. It's not. But I wouldn't equate it with surrender. I would equate it with observation. And you can observe without judgment. You can observe without judgment. You can watch yourself. You can go, that's right. I do have that problem. I am doing this or I am doing that. Maybe I can self-correct through there. And so as the observer, you can really see how you respond to given stimulus. And that can be very helpful to be the observer. But that's not so much a surrendering unless, of course, you're looking at it as, how do I surrender more to the Kundalini? And then, boom, you become the observer. And then, boom, you begin to self-correct through those observations that you're making.
Okay.
So now, Manisha typing, and then she stopped. Okay, all right. Continue, please.
Okay. Is compression breathing the same as alternative breathing?
No. Compression breathing is slower than alternate nostril breathing. Compression breathing is slower, and it includes a mantra or a prayer of intention. The whole idea that makes it a compression is that you're compressing two different Kundalini teachings into one activity, and that one activity equals that compression prayer.
Okay. Will I continue, or is Manisha?
No, she hasn't finished it. Doesn't look like it's.
Okay. It says, Master Chrism, does the pineal gland have any relation or role in Kundalini? And if so, what is that role?
So what is the role of the pineal gland in the Kundalini? Basically. The Kundalini comes up the spine and it enlightens the pineal gland. This is the term enlightenment. And you can spell that I-N space, L-I-G-H-T-E-N space, M-E-A-N-T, enlightenment. It's meant to happen for people. That little pineal gland the size of a pea is there to hold the sacred divine in the brain of the individual and to really begin to radiance that brain from the inside out. This is why it's called enlightenment. And the pineal gland is a huge level of grace that a person has. When a person has the Kundalini come up, they have the spinal sweeper, they have the Kundalini at least touch and merge with the pineal gland, that person in a dark room has lit up eyes when their eyes are closed. And now, so it has a huge, huge, huge effect on the Kundalini because it's holding divine radiance. It's holding divine radiance. Think about that. That's as important as the tailbone being the home or the house of the dormant Shakti. Well, this is the awakened Shakti. This is the awakened, the enlightenment that a person is having through the pineal gland. And so the pineal gland has a very, very important job. I don't want you to worry so much about calcification of the pineal gland too. And you hear a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, if you drink a certain kind of water, well, then it's got fluoride, then you can have calcification of the pineal gland, and it's going to really hurt you, and you're not going to be able to do it. It's just, forget about all that. Brooke's laughing.
I've heard that over and over.
I don't want you to worry about the calcification of the pineal gland. You drink your clean water, though. Get your clean water going. And don't buy into any of these decalcifications of the pineal gland either. Oh, my God. Here, eat this soap, eat this salt, eat this whatever. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now, Manisha has come back, and she has said, I see no lights, hear no sounds, no entities, no scary things, no psychic abilities, no kriyas. Well, when I dance and I sort of step aside and feel that, Shakti is moving me, my hands, my posture. I guess that's phenomena, so I take it back. That I have no phenomena. And she said, and you have no phenomena. And, oh, my God, Manisha, I've had so much phenomena. I just, my phenomena is pretty wild stuff. I tend not to mention it too much because it tends to take people. It's like, oh, this guy's way too crazy. You notice I don't talk too much about the stuff that's happened to me because, first of all, it's a G-rated show, number one, and number two, the amount of entity interaction and the amount of psychic experience, everything from breathing underwater to out-of-body experiences, which Foshji probably could really relate to. I've had a lot of that. As I've mentioned in other programs, this is my second time, at least my second time having the Kundalini, because I was born with Kundalini phenomena. And, this physical body had to catch up to speed to what the Kundalini body brought into it. And so, I had all that phenomena as a child, and then when the Kundalini awakens in this body, I had all that phenomena again plus more. So no, I've had all the kriyas, I've had the entities, I've had the sounds, I've had the scary things, I've had the psychic ability. I still have a lot of these things. The deal with the phenomena is once you get to a certain point, you can continue to have it. It just doesn't have you so much. you begin to choose. The Kundalini gives you the ability to filter, which, at the beginning, and most people, at the beginning have no filtration. Like Julia, she goes to Sedona with me, and we're doing all these different things, and she knows she's going to, she receives in a dream that she's going to be attacked by an entity or have some sort of entity interaction. And, we go through this whole beautiful experience, and, she gets attacked by the entities, and she finds that the devotion and the Hildegard music had developed a level of filtration within her. She no longer needed to be afraid. And and even now, she's gone further and further and further, and she gets more and more filtration. She gets more and more understanding about what she's seeing and things of that nature. And so it takes time, and it takes an understanding with the Kundalini that the phenomena is going to happen no matter what. It will happen. Boom. And it happens on its own terms. It doesn't really care what you think about it. But once it happens, and once you begin to be okay with it happening, you can turn that right around, and you can be able to accept and to hold that phenomena in a very, very positive way, as Julia has, and as you, Santara, have, and as many of the other people who have had the phenomena, Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, have been able to hold this in a very, very positive way. And so Manisha, I hope you get more phenomena. So you can do that. Oh, yeah, so I answered the pineal gland question, my dear.
You did, thank you. So the Merkaba, it's a question about that. It says, is it the same as Kundalini, or does it work with the energy of the Kundalini?
No.
And there's more, but maybe you... Yeah.
That's a fabrication. This whole Merkaba thing, the first time I came across this was with the guy that calls himself Drunvalo Melchizedek. Oh, my God. So, Drunvalo says, you do this with the Merkaba, and you do that with the Merkaba, and, the Merkaba is good for this, and the Merkaba... You don't need a Merkaba. You don't need a shape to enlighten yourself. You need a body. You don't need an upside-down triangle, merging with a right-side-up triangle. I mean, that's not going to... That's external stuff. That's like believing in Ouija boards and crystals. No offense to those who believe Ouija boards and crystals. You're looking outside of yourself to stimulate your evolutionary spiritual progress, and this is really the wrong place to look. Look inside. Don't follow geometrical shapes. I mean, really, folks. But I know the New Age, they put a lot of hype about Merkaba meditation. I remember I went through that a little bit too and go, oh, wow, is this going to change how my Kundalini works? Well, okay, let's try to get that upside down triangle inside that right side up triangle. And, you just don't need to do that at all. It's not going to help your Kundalini. It's not going to hurt it. It's going to distract you. It's a distraction. And in that way, it hurts your Kundalini. Just like amulets and magic wands. I know it works well for Harry Potter. I get that. But not everybody's like Harry Potter. So the scenario is that you don't need to go external. I mean, the ancients say it over and over again. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's within. It's inside of you. Look within. Look within at the base of your spine. You want the Kundalini? Go to the spine. Go to the tailbone. Do the practices. Do the yoga. Do the meditation. Do the safeties. Safety protocols. And for those of you who don't know where the safety protocols are, they're at KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com. And that's the number 1.com. And when you go there, you'll enter the website, and you'll see a menu of options on the left-hand side. Go to the fifth one down. That's the safeties. Press on that and copy those safeties. Hard copy them. Read them. Practice them. Do them all the time. And you'll have that relationship with your Kundalini. And you'll have it in the best possible way if you practice those safeties. That's what I have to say about Merkabas.
Thank you.
I mean, it sounds really cool and exotic. Ooh, what are you doing as a meditation? Oh, I'm doing
Merkaba.
No. What are you? Another person. What are you doing for meditation? Well, I'm doing mantra meditation. I'm saying the words of my master, and it's working so well. It says, "Wow, I'm doing Merkaba meditation." Oh, what's that? Oh my God, that was really powerful. No, it's just baloney, and no offense to anybody that's practicing that or practicing any of the things that the New Age, tells us, the secrets and all of that stuff. And let's channel this, and let's channel that, and let's reconnect here and reconnect there, and it's like,
they're all detours, really, aren't they?
They're just they're just diverting you from going within. They're pushing you outside of yourself. It's a distraction. And God bless you all for those who are practicing that. And you may not agree with me, and I may not agree with you, and we can still love each other and respect each other. And I wish you well upon your path. And next question.
Next question. I have gone through about a week and a half of intense fear. Now it seems to have lifted. What was that, and does this mean it was released from my body, or has it opened something up, or am I one step more healed?
So this was from the group. So I would
this
assume
was on the group.
And who? Well, I guess I can't ask you who. Well, fear.
I actually have. Yeah.
Fear is always a good thing to recognize. Sometimes an entity can stand next to you and just radiate fear. I know that in New York City, London, possibly in LA as well. I haven't seen them out here, but the guys with the tall, pointy hats will come into your bedroom. They'll stand next to your bed and they'll just radiate terror at a person, just so they can feed off of that terror. And so that can happen for a person. And then, of course, you can just any time somewhat of a discarnate or a ghost-like apparition comes next to a person, well, they're you get the goosebumps, you feel the cold, you feel all that stuff, and that can also easily amplify into levels of terror or fear. With the Kunalini, it doesn't necessarily do that to you at all, but it will keep you sensitive to that type of a thing. And so if you are having unreasoning fear, well, then you might look to see what your environment consists of at that time. And, if it continues, well, I'll suggest you just put on some nice, uplifting music. Walk around and own the space. Do the internal joy, or, the inner joy aspect of the safeties. Think of a time when you were so happy and so comforted and so beautiful and so loved, and bring that moment into the present moment and let that chase away the fear. You have nothing to fear with the Kundalini. But sometimes the Kundalini will allow you to have fear so that you know what not to have. And I see this big pause here. Like, Santara, you want me to continue on that, huh?
No. I thought you were just contemplating your next point. Yeah, okay. Next.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The next question is, are ascension symptoms and Kundalini rising symptoms one and the same thing?
Well, they can be. I mean, a lot of it depends on what people are calling ascension symptoms. These days, I've noticed that the New Age people are kind of like, well, I want to ascend, and I'm going to do all these things that I have to do to ascend because I just love myself that much. And because I love myself, I am ascending. God bless me. So, within that context, people can have the Kundalini rising. If they want to call it ascension symptoms, fine. It doesn't necessarily mean they're doing what they want to do. You're not going to dematerialize, and you're not going to float off into the ether. Okay? You're going to have Kundalini. And if you're not inside of these quote-unquote ascension symptoms with levels of honesty and purity and lack of ego, well, you're going to have a very, very interesting time ascending. Okay? And it's not going to be so easy to ascend. And all of a sudden, ascension loses its bounteous interest in an individual because, you might start seeing entities. You might start having, all of the Kundalini phenomena that is going wrong when the ego is allowed to inject fear and control into the Kundalini equation. It's not a good thing. So a person who is having ascension symptoms will often have, that she writes, but ascending where? A good question, Fatshi. Ascending where? Where are they going? So with the ascension symptoms, yes, many of them will mimic Kundalini. And a lot of them want to mimic Kundalini because, a lot of people are starting to come around to the understanding that Kundalini is the Maha force. It is the highest energy that a human system can have and still have a human system. Okay? After that, there is a level of dematerialization that you don't really need to have a body anymore. But you come back over and over. Just as I was mentioning the other night, I forget where, you have I remember, yeah. You'll have Kundalini lifetimes now. You'll come back as a Kundalini person, and you'll have Kundalini lifetimes. And those Kundalini lifetimes may include you having phenomena as a child that you have no clue about, like I did. And you may come back and you may be here to help and serve and assist, and go through the many further refinements of what it is to have a divine body, a divine human body, and what those responsibilities are, and what those morals and ethical restrictions are, and what it is to be semi-divine in the flesh made divine. And of course, everybody wants to have that because they think it'll, oh God, that sounds so powerful. I'm totally there. But no, it's not so easy because your morality changes. Your morality tightens up. Your responsibility tightens up. You have to learn how to have divinity responsibly first. And in many cases, your ego will have to go through such amazing subjugation, such amazing levels of control and re-indoctrination, relearning, re-educating, that a lot of people will shrink away from that, I want to be enlightened type of thing, or I want to ascend. For some of those folks, it should be spelled ASSSEND, because, they're just in it for the ego. They're just in it for the power. For some of the other folks, it'll take them straight into the Kundalini, and they'll get to know what the real deal is with ascension, and what that truly encourages in a person. Julie's saying, LOL. I think it was with the spelling, ASSSEND. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the phone. Next question. I better get out of this.
Okay. So, I know the most common sequence, this is from the group as well, for Kundalini awakening is from the root up to the crown, and occasionally top down from crown to root. But can the Kundalini jump around in a seemingly random order?
Yeah. It can do that. Typically within the activation stage, it will jump from one chakra to another chakra in a very randomly seeming order. There are different equations for a person to, a fifth chakra may activate, and then a second chakra may activate, and then a fourth or a third chakra may activate, and then the first chakra may activate. And so the scenario is that each chakra is going to have its activation. It's just how that sequence comes can be quite different than other people. And so you just want to what? What are you reading? Did I miss something here? No. Okay. So the chakra activation can jump around. Typically, you're going to have two ways to go with the Kundalini, or three ways to go. It'll go nowhere, i.e., it won't awaken it at all. Won't activate, won't awaken, won't do anything. So that's one way. The other way is it'll go from the root to the crown, and it will transform those chakras in that order, but but their activation sequence, even though it has been random, those chakras are being prepared for that spinal sweep regardless. The spinal sweep's not going to go, it's going to go typically from bottom to top. If it's coming down from the crown to the bottom, well, that would be a reverse spinal sweep, and that would be a top-down activation. That can be fairly challenging for a lot of folks. I see him. You're falling asleep, Santara. I know.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's 11.
Hear that, Sean?
It's late. Oh yeah, I've heard this all before. They can be random in their activation stage, but they won't be so random in the spinal sweep stage.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The next question is, why is it that every time I meditate with my body straight and my head looking forward, when I close my eyes, it feels like I'm looking to the right when I'm not?
I forget how I answered that one.
I don't know. Yeah.
Basically, I said I think that you're putting too much of attention on. I forget. Let me look at that again.
Yeah.
I did answer that. I think I did answer that one for that person. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's a shift."
I know the interesting thing for me when sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with that, I think that the person really needs to bring their eyes up. I don't think the person is bringing their eyes up. If they bring their eyes up, then they won't have that sensation of looking to the left or looking to the right. So that's the answer that I'm getting right there. It's just it's an ocular position for the eyes that will straighten that out. But also, if you look at the message that the Kundalini may be sending the person, is it's looking to the right, and so it's looking to the sacred male, and so maybe some more attention and more focus on the sacred male can be given by that individual in their practice. Sacred male turning. Oh, we've got a 90-second warning here, folks. So that's what I'm going to hold to. I don't think that's what I answered to him on the group, but I might go back and fix that. Looking to the right is looking for the sacred male, looking for that aspect coming more into the practice of the individual, but also bringing those eyes straight up, not looking to the right, not looking to the left, and I mean the physical eye, straight up. I want to say thank you to Atlantis Seeker, to BAV, i.e. Julia, Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez Fasci, guest 1619. MJ Henderson, Ma Devasavi typing, and Manisha. I would like to say thank you to Her Holiness Santara. I would like to say thank you to Sovereign, our newest listener. I'd like to say thank you to Eileen. I'd like to say thank you to Rosemary. And I'd like to say thank you to Brooke for being on the program today. And anything you'd like to say, Santara?
Thank you to everybody, and perhaps Sovereign's sister, maybe she could listen to the show, as well as
Sovereign.
taking notes. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you to everybody who is listening in the future. The future people that are hearing this, we love to hear you in our chat room as well, if you'd like. I will see you all this time next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.